Hi everyone, welcome to another video. This time I am going to pretty much like give an update and explain why did I leave JB Hunt. I'm gonna tell you my experience and the goods and bads that I experienced while I was at JB Hunt. Stay tuned. First of all, I'm not. This video is not to talk bad or good about JB Hunt. This is just my experience, and I there's people out there that's probably trying to go to sign on with JB Hunt, take their trucks there. Some people trying to see if it's worth it. Well, this is what my experience is, and I want to share with you so you can, have another opinion from somebody else beside whoever you have asked and done your research about. So I will tell you what my experience was, and I hope that this is helpful to you. Okay, first of all, a couple things I'm going to talk about. First is number one is did I how did I make my decision of going to JB Hunt. Number two is what was it like while I was at JB Hunt, and number three is why did I leave JB Hunt. Okay, number one. So I was a local driver, and um, I had some money saved up, and while I was doing local, uh, to make more money, they offered me a route that was had some layovers, so I would leave like on a Monday morning, sleep over at a hotel on Monday night, and then finish the route the next day, Tuesday, and sometimes be back on Wednesday morning, like and just like just finish the way to the warehouse, drop my truck, and go home. Pretty much have off all Wednesday, and then be back out whether Wednesday night or early Thursday, and then be back on Saturday. So after that, that was I was making a little bit more money that way because I was staying out a little longer, and then from there I I had that money saved up, like I said, and I was like, well, I'm already pretty much halfway into like doing over the road, and I said, might as well just probably find me a cheap truck and do my own thing. That was my thinking. So, well, I did. That's how I ended up going over the road. But I didn't go directly into JB Hunt. I went into this company called F2F out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So I signed on with them, and when I first started, I was booking loads like on the spot market off the low board, and that wasn't too bad of experience. I was doing okay. I would say I was doing pretty good. So I found this truck. It was a cheap truck, but I was still making payments on it. I financed it. So I went with them, and money was coming in, so no problem there. But all of a sudden, Ukraine and Russia war started, and it's when you guys already know how the fuel price went up the sky. That put a dent into like finances, pretty much for everybody. So at that point, I was like, well, I don't think I don't think that staying at F2F it's worth it anymore. But I was just thinking that I didn't make any movement. But after the fuel dropped, the rates started to come down, and I was like, well, now it's time to go. At that point, I started doing my research, like a lot of you are doing if you're watching this video. And I was like, I ran into JB Hunt, and thinking that JB Hunt is such a big company, and I always heard that contract loads pay better than the spot market. Uh, I decided to give it a shot, and I went with JB Hunt. That's how I got there. Now, number two, I said, what was it like at JB Hunt? Well, what I heard during my research is a lot of different opinions. Some people said it was good, some people said it wasn't. Situations, people complaining about JB Hunt not having enough trailers to pull these loads, having to deadhead, long distance. Kept that in mind, but at the same time, I didn't. So I just went and I signed on with them. Everything was easy. It took from the day one that I applied, it took 1 week for me to be like with them. It was quick. So once I was there, the rates were paying much better, much better than the other company I was with. Comparison, apples to apples, would be like I was booking loads um, with the other company. The like the loads that I was looking at was like between $2.20 to $2.50. That was like the range that I was looking at on the low board. And then I went to JB Hunt, and then I started to see these $4 per mile loads, and I was like, well, this is exactly what I was looking for. I started to work with JB Hunt. Yes, I did run into some issues like everybody else, like sometimes, you drop most JB Hunt has a lot of drop and hooks. That's what they're big about. Drop and hook, drop and hook load. Sometimes you drop your trailer and you find out that there's no empty trailer available for you to take. So now you're just bobtail with no trailer, and they will not dispatch you unless you have a trailer. You gotta have an empty in order to get dispatch on your next split plan. Otherwise, you'll be removed of that split plan, or they'll have you. They'll most likely give you like hey, go get this trailer. And the problem is sometimes they send you to go find these trailers, and when you get there, the trailer is not available. Sometimes they have a different trailer there, but sometimes there isn't any trailers. So that's what kind of gets on everybody's nerves, that you already drove 30 minutes and you still don't have a trailer. Now you gotta go somewhere else. I did run into those issues. Another one is like, once you already have everything lined up, and then bam, load cancel. Yes, I had that situation happen to me a couple times. Sometimes you already have your plan all lined up for the week, and yeah, something cancels. Now you have to change the whole plan. But that still wasn't something to like, get me frustrated, or be like, oh, I hate this place. No, I was fine. It's part of the job. Uh, as a grown up and experienced driver, I can tell you that that happens almost everywhere. That's not only at JB Hunt, that happens everywhere. Yes, there may be some companies more often than others, but my experience wasn't that bad. I was dealing with that. Okay, so I can tell you I was doing fine until number three. Why did I leave JB Hunt? Okay, so I was doing fine until these rates kept going down. Yeah, they had gone down already when I came to JB Hunt, but they kept going down little by little. These rates started to come down even more. But I was fine because I was still making money. But then something happened. My truck, I had an engine breakdown, and that was terrible. So I couldn't get it fixed. So the engine locked up on me, and I towed my truck to another shop to get a second opinion, and they told me that I needed a new engine, and it was gonna cost me like $60,000. So that's a different story. So that happened. And at that point, I was doing good at JP Hunt, so I never thought about, like, oh, I don't want to do this no more. So at that point, I went and I started to looking for options. The easiest thing I had on hand was to like just get a lease truck. It's when I applied for a lease truck with SF5, which is Snyder Finance. Yeah, so I got the truck from SF5. My truck payment was $1,300 a month. Now with the new truck, my payments went up dramatically. Between my truck payment, my maintenance account, and I was putting some extra money to the side in the same, like, they call it like a credit, lease credit. That's what they call it. So you put money into an account. So those three: truck payment, maintenance account, and lease credit. I was putting, I was paying $1,300 a week. My truck payment was only $900, not 1,300, like 950, something like that. $1,300 a week. It's what I was paying as a fine. So after running loads and everything, on a good week, like a good week, I would take home $2,500 before tax. On a bad week, sometimes I would bring home $300, $600, because that truck payment it's a big thing that is not easy to it's not easy to make the money to make the payment of every week. My truck started to break down. It had a couple issues. When I first got it on the first week, I had a breakdown already. So I had to get it into the dealer. Dealer kept it for like almost 7 days. That's a whole week that I didn't make any money, and that's like right off the bat, first week. And then I had to take it another time, a second time, and then it it had an electrical issue also. Like, every now and then, truck will not start, so I had to unplug the battery and all the stuff. Sometimes it was the starter. Uh, I took it to the dealer for the starter, and they said it was good, no issues. But every time when it happened, I had to go tap on that starter with a hammer, and then it would start. So I was dealing with all of that. After all the rates drop, I wasn't making much money anymore. So I was somewhere in Indiana, and I had a blowout. One of uh, one of my drives, the front and side passenger side drive blew out. And when I went in there, I looked at it. Oh, it's a flat. I said I got a blowout. So I was like, okay, let's fix it. I was close to a Lowe's, so I was like, let me just limp there, So I decided to just take it, 2 miles down the road instead of calling roadside assist, save some money. So I went there, and when I got to the place, there was a leak. That leak was from the axle seal. The axle seal had blown out, and that's why the oil was coming out of the axle. So I did that. I took it into the shop. They fixed the flat, but then they couldn't fix the leak. And they kept me there for all that day. And then the next day in the morning, they kept me there all morning. And then around 12, some 12 or 1 in the afternoon, they were like, that you need to take it to the dealers because we can't fix it. We don't have the right tools for it. I was like, okay. So they put it back together, whatever they have removed, took it to the dealer Friday afternoon, and then these people is like, yeah, no problem, we can fix it. We just gotta get some parts. And then they're like, well, we ordered the parts, but they won't be here till tomorrow. So I spent the night there. Saturday, they're like, oh, the parts were supposed to be here, but something happened with the shipment. We'll send somebody to get it. So they sent somebody to get it. It was like 2 or 3 hours away from where the shop was. So that person came like really, really late when he came back, and they're like, "Oh, we won't be able to fix it today. It's not gonna be till Monday because they were closed on Sunday." So they didn't fix me until Tuesday morning. I wasn't making as much money anymore. Truck was giving me issues. I was at the shop for a whole 4 days. They get me fixed, and now I got a load from where I was to like Tennessee, somewhere in Tennessee, like 5 hours or so. Dropped the load, made it there on time, and the next load that I had booked, they just canceled my load. They were like, "Oh, that canceled." Okay, I was like, "Okay." I started to look for another load, real quick because I'm trying to make sure that I keep moving. That way, I'm not in the hole, you know, too much. At that point, there wasn't anything close by. The only thing was like 3 hours away. I was like, okay, well, let's go get it. So I drove those 3 hours to go pick up that load. And after I went there, the load was canceled. But I didn't know until I got there, and the guys were like, no, that load isn't here. They didn't know what happened. So I called JB Hunt, and they're like, yeah, we're just going to remove it. And they were going to pay me a truck order not used, $150, pretty much nothing. So waste waste my time right there. Uh, at that point, I'm already frustrated, but I decided to just, like, well, let's look for another load. And the closest thing that there was like 5 hours away. So I already drove 3 hours to this place. Now the closest thing is 5 hours away. At that point, I was heated. So I was like, no, this is it. You know, if I run that load after driving these 3 hours and I drive those 5 hours after I deliver, I'm just gonna break up in the hole anyways. So at that point, I realized the business, it wasn't doing good for me anymore, and this, it wasn't just that time. It was like a while ago. So every time I was just breaking up even, or I was you know making a few $100 a week, but never ever enough to cover up payments, maintenance, my bills, or nothing. So I wasn't gonna be able to make any money for savings because I wasn't even making enough for payment. Don't make sense that I'll be running all these loads for somebody else, and the only one not making money is me. The one that I'm out here working. So I was like, I made my decision right there on the spot. I, I didn't think it was a bad decision. I mean, yes, it was fast, but I was like, nah, let me just turn in this truck. I took it down to North Carolina to the SF5 yard over there. I dropped it off, removed everything off the truck first. After that, I just got a rental car and drove back to home. And from there, I had nothing. I had nothing. I'm not gonna blame JB Hunt about this. That's JB Hunt's part. Like loads canceled, stuff like that. Those are issues that happen. But I also had issues with my truck. It was a newer truck, but I had issues anyway. So, you know, it was a combination of both, like high payments for a truck that was giving me issues, and then on the other end, I had a company that had a couple of issues too. So maybe if you own your truck and you work for them, no problem. But if you had a high payment, issues with the truck, and then a carrier that has these issues too, all combined, it's just gonna take you down. If you have a couple of those two, like maybe your truck giving you issues and some loads cancel, fine, but you don't have a truck payment, no problem. Or maybe you have a high truck payment, but your truck doesn't give you any issues, and the company it's okay, you'll survive. And I was doing my best, to with managing money, but it was never enough. That's why I decided to leave JB Hunt. The loads on the low board, some of them, I don't know what it is now. I left when I left. This is in December. When I left was December, like middle of December. So right now we're in April. I just never did an update on what I was doing or what I'm doing now. That's gonna be for another video. That's my experience. I hope that you guys get something out of it. I had a bad experience, not only with JB Hunt, also with the truck that I leased from SFI. Not blaming any of them. I'm just saying that all the situations combined brought me down. But I believe now that the decision I made was the right decision. If you're doing good at JB Hunt, I'm glad you're doing good. I know people that's doing good, but I also know some people that is not doing so good. And I know people that was doing good at JB Hunt, but then for a couple incidents, they just got rid of him without much explaining. They just terminate him. I hope, like I said, I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. When I get to them, I'll try my best to respond. If you have any doubts or anything. But take care. God bless you and be safe out there on the road.